the will for all of us waiting. Our kingdom will come. Rays of power shining, rays of magic fall on the golden voice that speaks within us all. For all of us waiting, your kingdom will come.
It's awful. It's all fucking awful! It's all of it, and every single one of them sucks!
All right, Chad, how we all doing? How's everybody doing? The preceding obnoxious noise was brought to you by one of our listeners. Normally it's $15 if you want to pick a playlist, no longer in 12 minutes, but we've got 9 more to go of the bulk packet that listener picked. So it's $15 if you want to get to the back of that line, and it's $50 if you want to cut the line. Okay. We'll be hopping into Discord in a little bit, taking callers. Mr. Bones says, "Feel the Catholicism flow through you." Were those Catholic songs? I was trying to tune them out, so I don't really know. Doing my best to just disassociate during that. It wasn't quite as uncomfortable as British James's picks yesterday, but it was unpleasant. Virtual Turbo Princess Rescuer Chad in the chat says, "My Switch 1 doesn't have space for all the games that I would like, and the Switch 2 has 8 times that. It won't be difficult to make room." He says earlier, "I would get the Switch 2 if I have a decent chunk of extra money. It's a backwards compatibility machine with more storage and a bigger screen, but not for the first-party games." I think the first-party games look fine. Like, Mario Kart World looks fine. I don't know if it's $90 if you want to actually own it. Fine. The Donkey Kong one looks okay, I guess. Looks fine, I guess. It's probably fun. You know, the worst Nintendo games are still more fun than most other AAA slop out there. But no, I'm not paying $90 for physical copies that may or may not actually be physical copies. I don't particularly want a I mean, I don't have any money right now. Streamlabs.com/DeBecklaw. If you want to alleviate that situation, that'd be greatly appreciated. Any amount would be great right now. But even if I was flush with cash, I just don't have any interest. That's what kind of floors me or surprised me as I was watching a lot of this. Because, you know, it was the big news of the nerd sphere and everyone's talking about it. So I'm watching videos on it. And yeah, like I said yesterday, there's some people that are just unfair to Nintendo. They just have an axe to grind against Nintendo. You know, what, haven't you outgrown the Mario games yet? And it's like, okay. And then Matt Walsh comes along and says, "Haven't you outgrown video games yet?" So, you know, always a bigger fish there. But, yeah, there's the guys that just have an axe to grind against Nintendo. And then there's the Nintendo shills. There's the Arlos and shit. They're just going to, you know, oh my God, Breath of the Wild again for $80 and slightly up-res graphics. Oh my God, I'm going to clap like a seal. And I'm just kind of like, eh. That's sort of what gets me. It's like, I don't care. Like, the apathy that is washing over me on the issue is kind of surprising to me. I'm just saying, whatever. Fuck it. Is it going to bomb? I mean, it should. Will it? I don't know. Maybe it'll make $1 bajillion. I mean, the reality is the problems with it, for as much as gamers piss and moan, are just a continuation of the same problems this industry's had for 10 to 15 years at least. The worst problems aren't even the ones that everyone just hyper focuses on the price. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. The fucking, you know, the money's worthless. That's a big fucking part of it. It's a huge up jump in price. Like, but I guarantee you, all the people bitching about prices, if it just went up to like $70, no, nobody would fucking care. Like, so yeah, all the problems with it is just shit that's, I mean, you know, it was like last year, they were like, yeah, the PS5 Pro, it's extra if you dare to want a fucking disk drive on it. And a few people pissed and moaned. But whatever, gamers just fucking spread their asshole for Sony, and a bunch of them are going to probably spread their asshole for Nintendo, and whatever, man. I'm out, I guess. So, I just don't care anymore. I have a shoebox filled to the brim with Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games. I have little storage drawers in my closet full of PS2 and 360 games, most of which I've not even really played. I've been, stocking up on them before the retro game prices got too insane. So if I ever want a game, I'll just dig out the 360 or the PS2, I guess. Pull out the Game Boy Advance. Yeah. Grubby says, I missed the dip. I do too. Past 2 times have been miserable. Mr. Bone says, I can make the next one nice for you if I'm feeling generous. Well, that would be great. I would prefer not to have metal and country. I would also prefer, if there's rap music, it not to be about gay sex. That would be nice. To be just explicitly about dude-on-dude sex. That would also be nice, British James. But I don't know. Y'all are paying for it, so I don't... I'm honestly amazed it hasn't been worse. There's been surprising amount of actual quality songs y'all have picked. And I'm somewhat surprised there. Eldritch fan says, Dennis and Aaron are wondering if this is a marriage or still a hostage situation. This plot is looking less like erotica and more like 80s rom-com. In all fairness, a lot of marriages are just hostage situations when you get right down to it. B-Man going through the stages of grief. I guess, man. I'm just kind of like, eh. Yeah, I don't care now. Like, whatever, man. Gamers are going to get the gaming industry they deserve. That is just what's going to happen. Maybe if they piss and moan, they'll get the prices dropped down $10 across the board. And now you're just paying $70 for a digital copy and $80 for a physical copy that doesn't even have the game on it. And they'll clap like seals about their victory. And then move on. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Like, I have a backlog of games sitting in my fucking closet that'll scratch a gaming itch till the day I fucking die. Let's see. Scrolling through the chat here a little bit. See if I missed anything of note. Forney in the chat. Yeah, we'll be taking callers here soon. Grubby. This is not the dip. Is this the right stream? Sadly, yes. So, let's watch some stuff, shall we? Speaking of gamers, here's a cool game coming out. I might have mentioned this last time, but I don't think we played the video. Let's see if we go to Windows Capture. Here's a cool game coming out, guys. I don't know if you're ready for this.
Rated T.
Yeah. Are we all excited for that? Yeah, you may be saying to yourself, what the fuck is that? And the answer is, I don't know. If I'm being perfectly honest with you. I don't know what the fuck. I guess that's in Fortnite? I don't know. I don't have a rogue. I don't know what a roguelike is, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Near as I can tell, it's like a dungeon crawler. What we used to call a dungeon crawler. But I don't know. So yeah, if you ever wanted to see Snoop Dogg and the Ninja Turtles hang out in what looks like PS2 fucking graphics, what looks like a fucking mod someone made as a joke, and just isn't officially licensed by Paramount fucking product, there you go. I don't know what you're supposed to do in that song. Mr. Bone says, would you prefer 90s love songs or Japanese jazz before your next metal inoculation? Probably 90s love songs, if I'm being honest with you. I do love me some 90s music. And what can I say? I'm a hopeless romantic, so by all means on that. I'd rather you just not play any more metal at all, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Because it really does stretch the fucking definition of what can even be considered music. So there you go, Vance. There's modern gaming. Snoop Dogg Ninja Turtle concert, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I was looking at there. Because I'm in like Ninja Turtle fan groups and shit on Facebook, you know, and it just all of a sudden it was like, hey, look at this. I'm like, what am I looking at? I don't understand what is happening. Did Shredder get served? I don't know. Okay, so speaking of horrible mutants, Ben Shapiro, everyone. Let's hear what he has to say about the tariffs on Israel. This was from a few days ago, but still somewhat relevant.
Yesterday, Israel announced zero tariffs on any American goods. The Trump administration hit them with a 17% tariff anyway.
I think this video is being sped up, but I'm really not sure with Ben.
Claiming that they had a 33% tariff rate on American goods, which clearly is not true. Why? Because it turns out that we buy more stuff from the Israelis than the Israelis buy from us.
Okay, but why would that... Israel has a 30% tariff on our goods, and that's not true because we buy more stuff from them than they buy from us. First of all, that is something you'd expect if they had a higher tariff on our goods. Second of all, God, it's so wrong, it breaks your brain. That actually, even if it were flip-flopped, even if we were buying tons of goods from them, or they were buying tons of goods from us or whatever, it doesn't disprove the fact that there's tariffs. Like, they were tariffing our shit at a high level. The whole world was tariffing our shit at extremely high levels. All this shit about, oh, can you believe Trump did exactly to the rest of the world what they've been doing to us for 40, 50 fucking years? And why, Ben, although I know the answer, why is this the only country that concerns you? You're not talking about tariffs in Japan or France or Mexico or Canada or China with such passion. Why is this one particular country of such great concern, Mr. American, supposedly? While we're deporting people, can we deport this motherfucker back to the country he actually calls home?
Shocker. They're a smaller country. We're a giant market. Not a giant shock.
Who's we? No, who's we, Ben? Is it really there, a smaller country? And I don't think there's a we here when you get right down to it, buddy.
Turns out. So this is pretty crazy. I have friends, for example, who import product to the United States and then sell them. Why? Because they can't get the product in the United States. So, for example, I have a friend who's in the jewelry business.
I'm shocked. I bet you have a lot of friends in the jewelry business, Ben. Maybe some that are lawyers, too. Bet you got a few friends in the fucking Mossad, too. Wolfland says, Trump says he isn't letting up on these tariffs because we give them so much money. Next, he will say they owe us money back or something. Trump is... Look, man, Trump is more pro-Israel than I would like. But then again, being at all pro-Israel is more pro-Israel than I would like. But he definitely stands up to him. Certainly way more than I've ever seen a fucking Republican in my lifetime do. All right, we got one more video, and then I think I'll go ahead and take some calls. This one I'm very torn on, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'm just torn on it from the title alone. And and we're going to go ahead and watch it. It's from Alan Jackson Ministries, which is one of these mega churches that has radio and internet and TV para-church ministries and shit. Reasonably big name in that sphere. But like a lot of these guys now, they're just... There was a time during the Obama years where a lot of these churches had to kind of keep their heads down and they try to be less overtly political. And that's gone now. For better or worse, that's gone. And I don't really feel all that good about that. We'll get into that. He's talking about the immigration thing.
Faith has to be lived. Faith has to be given expression. We're
going to skip ahead.
And without a biblical worldview, it'll be confusing to you. It's confusing to me sometimes. I have to step back and go, does that really make sense? Should I really be frightened? Should I really be agitated? Should I really be burning Teslas? Well, I mean, there's a lot of messaging and a lot of powerful, important people. You know, a year ago, an electric vehicle was mandated everywhere, and now from all over the world. And the current administration campaigned upon the promise to remove those that particularly were violent criminals. And from the beginning, since the inauguration until today, that's been like front and center every day. I mean, so much drama. Right? Whether you're for it or against it, so much drama. It seems like everybody's leaving. There's hardly any of us left. I mean, wow, you got to check your neighbors if they come for them in the dark. And I mean, everybody's leaving, there's a celebration, and then there's another group that are really upset about it, and then the federal judges get involved, and you can't do this. I mean, it's like, wow, so much drama. So I did a little work. There have been just a little more beyond 30,000, not 40,000 people total have been deported. Violent gang members, TDA members, people that have committed some horrific crimes. And we can celebrate that. I mean, it certainly seems like this overwhelming number. That's why you're checking your neighbors. Is there anybody left on my block? So I'm not a... Well, I mean, I can operate the buttons on a calculator. I checked. Of the illegal immigrants that are here, that number represents less than 2%.
Yeah, should bump them numbers up.
More than 20 million folks came in. The number deported reflects less than what was coming across the border on a weekly basis. It's negligible. I mean, I'm grateful that violent, murderous gang members are being moved, but if you just watch the headlines, whether they're for the deportations or they're against it, you would think the majority of the population has been moved. We have court cases and federal judges and restraining orders and mayors of major cities refusing to cooperate and governors using their power to...
So I don't think I'm going to watch the whole thing here. Here's the problem I have with this, and we don't have to watch the whole thing to get into this. I agree with this, to be honest, with his position that we need more deportations, actually. In fact, I'm considerably more hardline than I guarantee you this man is. Trust me, if it were entirely up to me, if I was king of this fucking country, we would just be sending back their heads. All right? I'm not fucking kidding. Just get a little catapult and just start launching them over the fucking fence into Mexico. Like, suck a dick. Enough. I want them all gone. Yesterday. I want them gone, and I want others terrified to pull that shit on us ever again. So believe me when I say what I'm about to say, that not only am I very much for these deportations, and not only do I look at them like these are rookie numbers, you need to pump those numbers up in this racket. And not only do I not care about their tears, but I'd be way fucking harder on them. If you are here illegally, I don't care where you came from, why the fuck you're here, you're gone. And if you come back a second time, we just kill you. that would be the rules. The first time you get deported. The second time, now you can't leave. That would be the honest to God rule if it were up to me. If you broke into this country, and that's what it is essentially, if you came in this country illegally, get fucked. It's a one-way ride out of here. And if it happens again, you're not leaving. You're going to wish you had. Now you can't leave. So when I say what I'm about to say, understand that I not only agree with Mr. Alan Jackson here, he's a softy fucking bleeding heart liberal compared to me on this issue. All that said, you're standing at the pulpit, Mr. Jackson. That's not the fucking place for it. Because at the pulpit, it's your job to teach the fucking Bible, not give me your opinion on politics. And I don't like how much a lot of these churches now, and it's particular under Trump now, it's a lot of right-wing people are a lot more comfortable speaking their minds on issues, and I generally like that. There's a time and a fucking place, though. Not at the pulpit. If you're going to weigh in on a political issue at the fucking pulpit, you better have some really good scripture, really clear scripture to back up your fucking opinion. Chat says, see Democrats giving speeches in black churches. I don't like that either, just so we're clear. But I'm not involved with them, okay? So I can't speak directly to it. I see it more in the churches I'm involved in, the ones I listen to on the radio, the ones I've physically gone to, the ones people I know go to. It's in my circle. That, trust me, in my circle, it ain't the fucking Democrat talking points that make their way to the fucking pulpit. It is the RNC ones. Ironic Coolness says modern evangelical sermons are essentially RNC speeches at this point. Yeah, and you know what? I remember a time when it was even worse. I'm a little older than some of you. All right, 83 baby over here. And I've been interested in politics since I was 15. So my memory on American politics goes back considerably further than many of you in the chat. And I can tell you, I vividly remember the W years. And it was a lot worse then. And it was a lot worse on issues they were flat out wrong on. I heard preachers from the pulpit tell me about how great of an idea the Iraq War was. And how the Patriot Act was a great idea. Dumb shit like that. And that's why every time I see this shit, I'm like, bro, nah. No. Okay? You're there to teach the fucking Bible. All right? You're there to lead your flock and minister to your flock. You're not there to give RNC fucking talking points. I don't even mind in small groups when political topics come up because, first of all, those are groups. Yeah, small groups tend to have a leader, but there's a lot more give and take and discussion and people hashing out ideas. And I don't mind when those get dragged a little bit more political. But in the actual, like, you're standing up there and you are essentially speaking for God. So watch your fucking tongue. Like, how dare you? How fucking dare anybody that stands up there and dares to give their fucking opinion on this or that issue of the day as though God handed it down to them on a stone fucking tablet should count themselves lucky they're not struck down then and there, regardless of whether they're right. That is the thing that always bugs me. Every time I'm in a church and a pastor starts giving me his fucking opinion on shit that oftentimes has no fucking biblical basis or has very tenuous biblical basis or is simply something that, honest to God, very deeply committed and knowledgeable Christians could strongly disagree on. I'm like, bro, enough. You stand behind a pulpit, you need to choose your words very carefully. You need to choose your topics very carefully. Eldridge fan says, I got to get to work, but did you hear about an abolitionist pastor during the Civil War? He made a fiery anti-slavery sermon and then threw off his robes. He was wearing a Union uniform underneath, and he went out and enlisted. Any thoughts on that? Yeah, you know, you could certainly make the biblical, I mean, I would make the same case, the biblical case that slavery is not okay. So I get the anti-abolitionist position, but don't stand behind there with a fucking military uniform either. Just don't. Just don't. Generally, you should avoid standing behind a pulpit and picking sides in a war. Especially because, let's be fucking real, it wasn't nearly as much about slavery as the history books would fucking tell you. Alright, well, I'm going to hop into the Discord and see if anyone wants to call in. Forney was in earlier. Hopefully he wants to call in. Let's see. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay. I'm in the show chat if anyone wants to call in. Let's see. Check the chat here. Ironic coolness is most people believe in their own politics more strongly than their religion or whatever spiritual belief practice. Politics are their religion. Look, I believe in I have the beliefs I have because I believe they are true. And that is across the board on whatever issue I have beliefs on. I believe things I believe because I think that is true. That is reality. I'm not going to pretend to speak for God on these things. Like, you know, you get up there and you're giving a sermon, you better have that Bible cracked open and you better be sticking really close to it. Close as you can. I'm not interested in your opinion on what the tax rate should be or something. All right? Because, by the way, a lot of times you get these guys, they go off, and it's like, well, you know, okay, so maybe there's one position that they have a pretty good justification biblically for. But they've still opened a can of worms here. And next thing you know, you got guys at the pulpit saying gambling is a sin. That's a common one you hear. Oh, we're not allowed to have from the pulpit, they'll say we can't open a casino in this county because gambling is a sin. Well, who the fuck said it's a sin? Not that book you got cracked open. It doesn't say that fucking anywhere. I mean, excessive gambling is a sin, sure. Excessive anything is a sin. Excessive eating is a fucking sin. That doesn't make eating a sin. Some people gamble very responsibly. And then some people are Mersh. And yeah, guys like Mersh should probably knock it off. But some people just make a friendly wager with their buddies once in a while, or they buy a lottery ticket once in a while. You know? When I went to Vegas, I barely gambled, but I gambled a little bit. You know what I did? Forney showed me this trick, because I guess he'd been there a couple of times. You sit the fucking nickel slots, but throw some change in there, and they bring you free drinks. So I had like 3 White Russians on like less than $2. Probably less than $1, because I was up for a little while. Wolfland says, familiar with gluttony, are we? Sure. Yeah, I'm a fat fuck. I'm familiar with gluttony. Gluttony, wrath, lust, and sloth. There's 4 out of the 7 I check off pretty much on the daily. Thank God for the blood of the Lamb. But there's enough things in the Bible that are forbidden. You don't have to make shit up. But legalists love to make shit up. I hear people from the pulpit say, well, a Christian has no business watching an R-rated movie. Well, who the fuck are you to say that? It doesn't say that in the Bible, by the way. Would have been a hell of a prophecy if it even mentioned the existence of the moving pictures. But no, it doesn't say that. What about the Passion of the Christ? Maybe you can't have meat, but maybe I can. Maybe you shouldn't go see an R-rated movie. Well, maybe it's fine for me. Maybe that's between me and God. And maybe that's not something you say from the fucking pulpit. This is why I don't like the politics from the pulpit shit. Because it just spirals way the fuck out of control. The moment you're standing behind that pulpit saying a bunch of shit that is your fucking opinion, as if God himself had descended from the heavens and scratched it on stone for you, you've opened a fucking can of worms that will eat you alive. Here's some other stuff famous from the pulpit. Y'all might have heard of the Pence rule, the Mike Pence rule. How this was actually Billy Graham used to do this before him. Maybe he got it from somewhere. I don't know. Billy Graham's the first guy I know to push this. But like, I will not be, this is the rule. I will not be alone with another woman that isn't a blood relative or my wife ever. And you know, there's an argument to be made for that. It prevents even the appearance of sin. Sure. Prevents obviously a certain temptation with a lot of women. And, just pragmatically, in the Me Too age, it prevents you from getting Me Too'd falsely. So I'm not saying it's a bad rule for a person to adopt. But there's nothing in the Bible that outright commands it. And yet I heard just a few months ago, David Jeremiah was the guy, the preacher that said this. He talked about in his organization, because, he's, of course, got a big parachurch ministry. He also plagiarized a whole fucking chapter of one of his books, but that's a different topic. But in his organization, that is a standard of conduct he demands from all the employees. So if you work for David Jeremiah in any capacity, I guess if you're a janitor in the fucking offices, I guess you're just not allowed to hang out with a female friend. What if it's somebody that's basically family to you, but like they're not really family? You know those kind of things. Like maybe they're like a cousin to you, but they're not really blood. It's just you called their parents aunt and uncle because they were super close to your parents. I've had my cousin that passed away, wasn't a chick, but still my cousin that passed away, coming up on nearly 2 years, about a year and a half ago. He wasn't blood to me at all, but he was my cousin, as far as I'm fucking concerned. He was family. So what? Like, I couldn't give his sister a ride home? Because why? Because some fucking old guy who plagiarized a whole chapter of his book fucking said so? You see where this shit goes? So this is why, I am all for deporting every motherfucking illegal on here. Frankly, I'd be quite happy just to send back their heads. Fuck them. You didn't belong here in the first fucking place, and you knew it. But that ain't something I'm going to say behind a pulpit. Not because I think it's wrong. But because God himself didn't fucking tell me that. I don't see it specifically in the Bible, and the heavens didn't open up, and God didn't scratch it on a stone for me. And unless one of those things happened, you shouldn't be saying it behind a pulpit. Just fucking period. That would do the church a lot of good if we adopted that standard across the fucking board. And if you ever do veer into, well, this is just what I think on something, make that fucking clear. Now, guys, this is just what I think on this. You know, I invite you all to pray about it and to study the scripture and to come to your conclusions, but this is what I say. Make that fucking clear. A lot of them don't, though. It's just like, well, obviously, from my super intricate Christian worldview that has no fucking contradictions, this is the conclusion I came to. You want to know another unpopular opinion that the Alan Jacksons would never fucking say from their thing? You know that white guy who, the white dad whose son got stabbed by that fucking feral black animal? Guess what? He went out and it was like, I forgive that kid. And you know what? He should have. That was the Christian thing to do. Sorry to fuck to tell you. I know it feels better to hate him. It's a lot more fun. Now, I will say he didn't need to prove to CNN that he wasn't racist. God doesn't command you to do that. But he does command you to forgive. Pretty much across the fucking board. So what that dad should have said is, you know, I fully support the full weight of justice coming down on this individual. He should be removed from society. But, you know, I forgive him and I hope he asks God for forgiveness. That would have been the appropriate thing to say, not grovel in front of CNN and try to prove you're not racist. But I see a lot of Christians like, he didn't have to forgive him. I don't know what the fuck book you were reading. But he kind of did. I don't like that, by the way. It's much more fun to hate people. It's much more fun. I fucking love it. It's a blast. But there's not a whole lot of wiggle room to be allowed that as a Christian.
People have to actually be seeking forgiveness to be forgiven, though.
No. What?
Like,
No. You are supposed to forgive them. You are supposed to release them of the pound of flesh that they owed you. You are supposed to no longer harbor hate and unforgiveness in your heart, regardless of their fucking position. Now, that doesn't mean you don't seek justice. That doesn't, like, again, the father should have been like, look, this person is a danger. He should be removed from society. You know, I fully support any, you know, the full weight of the state coming down on this person. But you can't let them make you hate them. That's not allowed. And again, I don't like that. It's way more fun to hate people. I fucking love hating people. I hate most fucking people most of the time. Shouldn't do it, though. It's not okay. Not allowed. Not a lot of fucking wiggle room on that either. All right? Jesus said on the cross, forgive them for they know not what they do. Nobody was groveling and asking him forgiveness at that point. It was offered before there was... God offers you forgiveness before you're fucking sorry for it. Like, no. There's not a lot of wiggle room there. And all the people that are like trying to come up with an excuse why it's totally Christian for that this father should don the fucking Punisher outfit and go shoot this black kid. Like, don't get me wrong, that would be cool, but it wouldn't be very fucking Christian. Like, no, hatred and revenge and unforgiveness are not things that they're not luxuries a Christian is afforded. Full stop. And that's the most difficult lesson to internalize, which is why most of us don't. I don't live that way, by the way. I should. I know I try at times, but I don't. Of course I fucking don't. I hate most people most of the time. Trust me, if with a wave of my hand I could make someone disappear, every motherfucker in front of me in traffic would be gone. I'm a hateful, wrathful piece of shit. But that's not okay. I'm not going to pretend like it's okay.
would most of those people be Amish?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even right now. I just Thanos snapped them away right now. I don't even have to leave. Go
that is the first course.
That's
of action.
the default. That's the first wish from a genie. All right, like.
Yeah, so.
If the genie's like, I can't kill anybody. If it's like Aladdin rules, I'm like, can you give me the power to kill them? Because clearly, he made Jafar a big wizard, so clearly he could do that. Just give me wizard powers, all right? In fact, I don't even need any wishes after that. You're free to go.
No. So, I'm probably not going to be on here long. But, so my position is, people are gonna like talk politics because that's a part of their life, so it affects them. But like churches shouldn't, especially pastors, shouldn't be making that the center of worship. Like it's just like when you drive by and you see those churches and they're plastered everywhere with like pride and progressive flags. Like they haven't made God their center
You
of
know,
worship
there's a big
very clearly.
there's a little humility goes a long fucking way. And if pastors more often would just be like, hey, this is what I think on such and such issue of the day. I'm not pretending to speak for God. And just, again, say, like, you know, I encourage you to do your own research, think for yourself, read the scriptures, pray about it. But this is the conclusion I've come to. That's a lot different than standing up there with the attitude of, like, clearly the Bible says that the tax rate should be 4.3% and not 4.7. All right, calm down. And us, like with that Mike Pence rule I mentioned, you could come up there and say, hey, this is a personal rule I think really benefits you. I think this is a good hedge to put around your life. But the Bible doesn't explicitly command it, and I'm not going to pretend like it does. That'd be cool. But standing up there giving your opinion as if it's coming directly from God, that's not a can of worms that needs to ever be opened.
You know, it's all over the ground now. So I just kind of wish that churches would go back to being churches and not anything else. But you know, that's me.
And like, I understand, I don't want pastors to be afraid to say something that they genuinely feel led to say. Or at least I don't want them to be afraid of anyone but God when they do that. But at the same time, man, I remember the W years, and they were ugly. I specifically remember a sermon by a guy named D. James Kennedy. He was out of Florida. He was kind of a growing big name in evangelical circles. He just sort of was kind of old, and he died before he really had a chance to build his empire up stronger. But he gave a big, long spiel about the historical Christian criteria for a just war that Christendom's largely agreed on throughout the ages. And the Iraq War meant none of them. And then proceeded to just tell fucking lies. I don't know if I'm being generous, he was misled about how supposedly the Iraq, like Saddam attacked us first, and just shit like that that's just blatantly untrue. You know what I mean? And I remember at the time, I'm like, it just disgusted. I'm like, this wasn't him on like a political show giving this was him. He gave this from the pulpit. He gave a ringing endorsement of the Iraq War. Hey, boomers in my audience, make sure you send your kids to die in it, from the pulpit. Chet says, you're telling me Kennedy isn't an Irish Catholic? Look, man, I don't know the guy's background exactly. D. James Kennedy was his name. He did a really terrible Christian movie. He made a really terrible Christian movie where it was like a Christmas Carol, except that Scrooge was like some Jewish lawyer that was an atheist, and he was shown a world in which Christianity never existed. And it was just really terrible ham-fisted propaganda. We watched it on stream once.
So when you're talking about Christian movies, you don't have to include that they're bad. You just have to tell us when they're good and when that's the exception.
Pretty much. My God,
they're all bad unless stated otherwise.
When I was writing in the blog years and years ago, and I was doing a lot of movie reviews, I went through a phase where I was trying to find a really good Christian movie, and I stopped, not because I found a good one, but because I just basically had the exact same complaints about every one of them. I'm like, the production value is really poor. The message is ham-fisted. Some of them literally ending on an altar call. And they're really sanitized to a point that feels just so fake and sugary. And like, not everything needs to be rated G. And like, I basically had those criticisms in everyone. And I'm like, how long can I repeat myself here? Like, I'm just giving a different plot synopsis than basically copy and pasting the last paragraph on each one.
But it's just the brand. They're trying to sell to people who are squeaky clean, and that's the only media. And they want them to feel good that that's the only thing they're consuming.
There's a lot of people want to consume propaganda and not art. I mean, there's money to be made in that. The only reason the left wing, the only reason the woke stuff doesn't make that much money is because it's too oversaturated.
They want to feel good that they're not watching that evil, awful media. You know, that's the idea, I guess. That's because we so shit's kind of like bad now, but we actually don't live in that immoral of a country. There is a lot of immorality, but it's not really that bad historically speaking. So the consequences of that is people who want to pretend that they're squeaky clean and sinless is they have to make it seem like they're like super perfect and clean.
You know, you ever hear of Jack Posobiec?
Mr. A devout Catholic will not own or touch a Bible. That Jack Posobiec?
I'm sure. But one thing he always did on Twitter that drove me nuts is he would always like refuse to swear, but he'd say like really corny, like he'd say funk instead of fuck. You know what I mean?
It's his version of virtue signaling.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like, look, I'm not saying you have to swear. I've often said I don't think you have to swear to be a man, but you have to be willing to hear swear words without needing a fainting couch. But also, like, he's not just not swearing. He's showing us all very proudly that he doesn't swear. He doesn't say naughty words because mommy would yell at him. And it's like, that shit's gay, man. Like, don't swear if you don't want to swear. Fine, talk however the fuck you want. But, like, quit showing me you don't swear. You're a good boy that doesn't swear. Like, I'm not going to tell the teacher on you. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, the Bible's full of, like, cussing and racial slurs and foul language. I mean, Jack doesn't know that because he's a Catholic and doesn't own a Bible. But if you actually read through it in the original language, it's just full of profanity.
Oh yeah, when Christ, a perfect example is when Christ says your good deeds are like dirty rags. I mean, that was essentially swearing at that time in the original language. And dirty rags, you know, we hear dirty rags, you think you wipe down the dust off a table or something, but no, that's like chicks were on the rag or dudes were wiping their ass with it. You know what I mean? You're talking about rags covered in period blood and piss and shit. And the full weight of that was in the words he said.
There's also, when he calls a woman a dog, he's actually using a racial slur. It just doesn't translate to English. He's using a softer form of that racial slur. Like, he's not using the hard R equivalent, but he calls that woman a racial slur.
I remember a certain weird bald Canadian that was trying to convince me that it was not Christian to make fun of people. And I actually used it, like, was it the prophet Elijah, I think, when he was dealing with the prophets of Baal, you know, in the showdown of whose altar burns and all that. He says to him, he's like, you know, where's your God? Maybe he's on the shitter. Like, he just roasted him. And that's considered the most righteous man in the Old Testament. So, I don't know. Maybe you're allowed to make fun of people once in a while. I mean, that's just me. That's just my thoughts on it. But
the Bible doesn't, like, it doesn't make everybody in it out to be like these super good people. It has no qualms about showing people as flawed beings. That's why you need Jesus. It's not the modern Christian thinks you need Jesus because you said a naughty word and you saw a booby, not because of the horrible piece of shit you are that makes other people's lives worse. So,
well, those are the worst sins a modern Christian can imagine, is seeing a booby.
the worst sins are the ones you commit with your dick.
Yes.
It's worse than murder.
When a Christian says immorality, they're not talking about somebody stealing. They're talking about somebody beat off. Like,
Red
funny,
Pill
they
is
basically
talking.
turned the entire word morality into just about sex.
Yes, you can thank the Middle Ages for that because they had wild orgies. So it's amazing how one event like in effectively ancient history now affects us today, but that's why. It was the outbreak of syphilis in the Middle Ages. Red Pill Renegade is talking about the only good Christian-based movie he's seen in his lifetime was The Prince of Egypt because it was well written and wasn't a story about preaching. Yeah, well, that was ironically made by secular people. There's also The Book of Eli, which was supposed to be an anti-religious film, but it's actually about a man who was carried by his faith.
There's a lot of movies with strong Christian. There's a movie with Ben Affleck and Samuel L. Jackson called Changing Lanes, where these two dudes hit each other on a highway, both on their way to important court dates, and they're both late as a result, and it kind of fucks their life. So these two just end up in this tit for tat like revenge, like plots against each other, just steadily more and more ruining each other's lives until they're like just completely brought to the end of each other. And there's strong redemptive themes. There's constant, very purposeful Christian imagery and messaging throughout it. But yeah, it doesn't end on an altar call, so I guess it doesn't count for evangelicals. Heaven forbid a work of art actually give you something to think about instead of just spoon feeding you.
I was watching a video on YouTube, and the guy was atheist, and he was making videos about people having crisis of faith and being resound in their faith. And he made a comment that movies made by people who don't experience those things need them the most, and that's why it's more expressive in their media, because they're crying out for that. Whereas I think the people who are born in the church just take it all for granted and they don't really understand it.
Very few Christian movies are about wrestling with God. And they're certainly never about a Christian wrestling with God. Sometimes you see the atheist coming to it. But it's always about the other coming to be like us. More so than it's any real Christian messaging to it. I've been watching through Righteous Gemstones on HBO, which is, I mean, largely a parody of mega church pastors and the like. But and it is quite funny. But I'm surprised with how much depth there is to a lot of the characters, especially John Goodman's character. And I am also very surprised that, and while I'm sure the writers are entirely secular, it really never is shitting on Christianity. It's very much shitting on a lot of American evangelical Christian subculture, which rightfully so. But there's very little in it. In fact, I can't think of anything that's explicitly anti-Christian in it, in its messaging.
No, I haven't watched it. I don't really watch a lot of TV anymore.
Well, I mean, the premise of the show, you have John Goodman, who is this older megachurch pastor, and he's created an empire from it. He has not just a mansion, but a compound where he has individual mansions for his idiot kids. His idiot, spoiled, rotten, fucking moron kids.
Personal jets.
Flat out doesn't, the whole 9 yards. It's an empire. It's an absolute empire. And there's family conflicts across the board. There's William Goggins plays Baby Billy, which is his brother-in-law. His wife had passed years ago. Oddly enough, I mean, it would be easy to show John Goodman's character, for example, as just an evil, corrupt Kenneth Copeland shithead. You know what I mean? But he's, in many ways, a very decent man. He is sincere in his faith. He's insanely greedy. He grew up poor and hard. And once he came into money, he acquired a taste for it pretty quickly. But he's not that bad of a guy. He's just, his major flaws are he's very greedy and he's prideful and he doesn't know what to do with his moron children. Outside of that, though, he's not some dark villain in it. It's incredibly well done so far. I'm like in the middle of season 3, and I think it's gone on for 5 seasons, so maybe it shits the bed later, but at least where I'm at, it's really good.
Yeah, well, that's a problem with a lot of shows that go on late. They don't know how to actually end them. But, I didn't really plan to stay on long, so...
Well, I'm gonna probably wrap it up anyways because I've gone on for an hour and I don't have any super chats and I am a whore.
And we're poor, so.
I am very fucking.
But my point is like, the church itself is a place that's supposed to be set aside for God, and I would prefer people actually do that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want your fucking.
The right's not the only one guilty of that, although I would argue they're probably more likely to actually believe in God in that case.
Yeah, let's be real. Most of these leftist churches are at that point not even churches anymore.
Like the one I drive by when I'm in a city near here, it's just plastered head to toe with pride flags, and I'm like, you don't really worship God there.
And you know what though? The right needs to take a look at those dead leftist churches and realize, like, there's your ghost of Christmas future. Because, you know, that started out, every one of those kind of churches started out with a pastor that was a genuine Christian. He's just like, we need to help the poor. And, you know, he had leftist positions that were very biblically justified. And a few generations later, there's a lesbian there talking about cutting people's dicks off behind the pulpit. All right? So maybe the right needs to take, like, it's easy to mock these leftist churches with their pride flags and their BLMs, but maybe you need to take a good look at the ghost of Christmas future there and go, you're just going to make a different flavor of that if you're not careful. Right?
Well, there was like this study done like 10 years ago. I tried to find it. I had trouble finding it again. In their conclusion, they were studying churches that were growing and dying, and in their observant is the churches that were like heavily Christ focused, and like that was the whole everything they surrounded all of their beliefs and worship around, were the ones that stayed around and grew, and all the others were the ones that aged out and died.
Yes.
And denomination literally didn't matter. Like even Catholic churches that were strongly Christ focused, I know rare, but those grew. You know, Orthodox grew. All the other Protestant divisions grew if that was their main focus. But the ones that didn't died.
If you want to turn your politics into your religion, then it's going to just replace your religion. And you have to understand that. Look, I love my politics, all right? But I don't want, you know, I don't want a sermon from my pastor about how the ATF should be abolished. I agree.
I mean, that would be really nice, but that's not what I'm there for.
Yeah, now's not the time. I'd love for him to, you know, if he wants to go on Facebook in front of the flock and talk about how the ATF should be abolished, that's okay. I don't mind him telling other Christians he thinks the ATF should be abolished. I agree. When you stand behind that pulpit, though, that's something different. And you need to treat it like something different.
You need to treat it like the holy institution it's supposed to be.
You know, yes, you stand behind that pulpit, you are implicitly saying you are speaking for God. And that is a thought that should terrify you. You know, righteously
well, I've been on
terrify
too
you.
long
You should
and chased your audience away, so I need to duck out.
Well, I mean, they weren't sending me super chats anyway, so fuck them. Like,
I mean, Bones is paying
fuck
you.
'em, all right? He paying me to fucking torture me. He needs to
That's what we pay you for.
send more fucking super chats. I should get more super chats just for the fucking music I've had to listen to the last 2 times. I should get more super chats.
It's been great.
Really, you loved the gay rap last time? It's been great.
No, that
you love the faggot songs about shit on their dick. We heard it here first.
But like today wasn't too bad.
Today was terrible too. It was dog shit.
Today was okay.
Barely qualifies as music.
Well, I'm employed, so when I start getting some money, and I'll have to find some videos to torture you with. How about that?
Send all that super chats, man. I need the fucking money. I am not employed, so.
I'm currently broke, but when I have some money, I'll send some stuff to torment you for the audience's pleasure.
Send all the money. God said you have to send me money and buy me a private jet.
What about buying you a Switch too?
I don't want one.
You sure?
I'm gonna immediately take it into my local game store and try to get credit for it if I had a Switch 2 given to me.
Actually, some of the stuff I've heard about it actually sounds like the inferior of the 2 consoles.
I don't want it, man. I don't want it.
It's the stages of grief, man. Nintendo's dying to you.
stop. Just stop. Like, the whole fucking industry. It's like, just stop doing this shit.
Nah, if you know where to look, the industry's doing great. It's just that doesn't get publicity. The best games right now are made by 5 guys in a shed that live on a candy bar a week. Those are the best games right now.
What? You don't want to go play Snoop Dogg meets Ninja Turtles? Whatever the fuck that was?
How many? I think that's Fortnite. It has to be.
I guess it's Fortnite. I don't get. We used to get like you know, if you used to get licensed games that were real games. Like, oh, you like right now it's like Spider-Man is the only thing that's actually got real games. It's a licensed property. Everything else is just
Snoop Dogg's
Fortnite.
How many games Snoop Dogg seems to like get himself wedged into is kind of amazing to me. I don't know how he does it. He just must know people.
I wouldn't even care if there was like a Ninja Turtle game Snoop Dogg was just in. If there was like just a mission.
He just shows up.
Like there's just a mission where it's like Shredder's attacking a Snoop Dogg concert and you have to stop him. And it's like, fine, that's fine. It'd be a cool little cameo. But I don't know what the fuck I watched in that video, but I don't want to play it.
It has to be like a Fortnite event. That's the closest thing I can think of. I don't actually play Fortnite, so I don't know.
The modding looks so bad, it looked like fucking, like, 3D porn. Like, I expected the next scene to just be April getting piped by fucking Shredder. Like,
well, I know what you're looking up.
I mean, I might. You know, that's...
But, that's probably Fortnite's greatest contribution to entertainment.
Is April getting piped by Shredder?
I mean, maybe. Okay, it provides a lot of 3D assets for very deranged individuals.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Folks, if you enjoy the content I put out, consider supporting the show. And especially now, because I need the money. I'm poor. Streamlabs.com/thebeckoff, paypal.me/thebeckoff. And I'll even leave a link to the Amazon wishlist down below. Although, honestly, I would prefer the money. That's about it for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for listening.